How did the voice behind Don't Stop Believin' quietly build a $70 million empire without a single world tour in decades? Steve Perry's lifestyle will absolutely surprise you. He vanished from the stage for years, but while fans waited for a comeback, Steve Perry quietly turned his legacy into one of the most valuable in rock. In this video, we reveal how Perry transformed Journey's hits into long-term fortune, why he said no to touring, and what Steve Perry's lifestyle looks like now with $70 million in the bank. Let's dive in. Inside Steve Perry's daily routine. Ever wonder how a rock legend like Steve Perry starts his day? It's not with a tour bus or a crowd of screaming fans, but with a cup of coffee and a quiet studio. In 2025, Perry's mornings begin not on stage, but in the sanctuary of his private San Diego home studio, surrounded by warm wood panels, vintage equipment, and cherished instruments. This is where melodies are born and memories are relived. He often jokes that coffee is his vocal muse, and it's easy to see why those morning hours are sacred, filled with humming riffs, soft harmonies, and scribbled lyrics. But what truly sets Perry apart is his discipline. Even now, decades after first captivating the world with Don't Stop Believin', he treats his voice like a fragile instrument, part gift, part responsibility. His vocal warm-ups aren't elaborate, but they're deliberate, a high-wire act. He once said in an interview, describing the tightrope between strength and restraint. Unlike many performers who push their voices to exhaustion, Perry schedules rest into his daily rhythm. There's something poetic in the way he balances sound and silence. He creates magic, but never rushes it. Mid-morning is for movement. Perry takes long coastal walks along the California shoreline, soaking in the breeze, the salt, the stillness. These walks aren't just for fitness, they're fuel for creativity. As he strolls through scenic trails, he's not alone. He's walking with lyrics, with melodies in his mind, with the echoes of a career that shaped an era. It's a ritual that keeps him present, grounded, and open to inspiration. But here's the part they don't tell you. Perry's day isn't packed with calls, interviews, or brand meetings. He's fiercely selective about his engagements. The spotlight no longer drives him, connection does. So, after those walks, you might find him returning to his home studio, not to produce a hit, but to chase a feeling, to write one honest line, to sing one perfect note. And just like that, his daily routine becomes a rhythm of reflection, artistry, and intentional solitude. In a world moving at lightning speed, Steve Perry reminds us that some of the most powerful things are created in quiet moments. Speaking of quiet, let's step inside the homes that hold those moments. Homes and cars of Steve Perry. Behind every great artist is a space that nurtures their greatness. For Steve Perry, that space is not just one home, but a carefully chosen collection of sanctuaries. His primary residence, a Mediterranean-style mansion perched in Del Mar, California, valued at over $10 million. The view, panoramic oceanfront, the vibe, seclusion, serenity, and unfiltered inspiration. You'd expect flash from a rock legend, but Perry's taste leans classic. Not gaudy, every detail in the Del Mar estate whispers comfort over extravagance. This mansion isn't just a trophy property, it's a retreat. According to a close friend, Perry designed the space to be invisible to the outside world, a place where sound and spirit can coexist freely. It's here that many of his late-night sessions, quiet writing retreats, and private celebrations have taken place. You won't find paparazzi photos of this spot, but fans know it's where Perry finds his peace. Then there's Larkspur, California, the second property, once modest and now treasured, was purchased during the early peak of his solo career. Estimated at around $4.9 million, it's not the price that matters, it's the memories. It was in this home that Perry worked on breakthrough projects, shared sessions with collaborators, and reconnected with the essence of who he was beyond Journey. Some say the walls still hum with harmonies from the past. And when he hits the road, don't expect a private jet or a luxury yacht. Perry prefers something more tactile, his car collection. 7 vehicles, each chosen not for show, but for soul. Among them, a classic 1979 Mercedes-Benz convertible that once starred in a charity auction complete with a tuxedo jacket and signed vinyl. That's the kind of rock star Steve Perry is. Not flashy, just meaningful. He also owns a few electric cars, favoring sustainability and quiet drives along the coast. But what makes his travel choices even more intriguing, he often skips the air. No jet, no entourage. He drives. Window down, music low, eyes on the road. It's in these miles between cities, between notes that Perry reconnects with the land and the people who shaped him. So now we've seen where he lives and how he moves. But how does a man like Perry unwind when the mic is off and the world goes quiet? You're about to find out. Hobbies that keep him grounded. When the curtain falls and the spotlight fades, what remains is the person. And Steve Perry, the man behind the music, has found joy in the simplest pleasures. One of his favorite escapes, beachcombing. That's right, collecting driftwood, shells, and ocean-worn stones along the California shoreline. It's a far cry from stadiums and stage lights. But for Perry, it's art. He builds mobile sculptures from these finds, hanging them like wind chimes or abstract memories in motion. They're fragile, he once said, but balanced. Like music. That's Perry in a sentence, quietly creative, unexpectedly whimsical. Watching him at the beach, crouched in sand, arranging pieces by color and shape, you'd never guess he once sang to millions. But Perry's love for balance doesn't end with sculpture. He also dances privately, joyfully, like nobody's watching. And usually, nobody is. In the solitude of his living room, he lets go. The same man known for power ballads and heartbreak anthems finds liberation in motion. It's not for the stage, it's for the soul. Another passion, baseball. A lifelong fan of the Chicago White Sox, Perry celebrated their 2005 World Series victory like a kid at his first game. You could hear the glee in his voice during interviews, or spot the signed memorabilia around his home. Baseball, like music, is a rhythm, a tradition of patience, timing, and unexpected magic. What ties all these hobbies together? They ground him. In a world obsessed with fame and performance, Perry finds contentment in the ordinary. In his words, success means nothing if you can't enjoy the sunset. And speaking of balance and well-being, it's time to look at how this iconic voice takes care of the machine behind it, his body. The habits might surprise you. How he stays healthy and fit. Steve Perry is 76 in 2025, but you wouldn't know it from his energy, clarity, or commitment to wellness. The secret, a lifestyle that blends old-school care with modern mindfulness. Perry treats his body the way he treats his music, with reverence. Start with his diet: whole foods, lean proteins, and tons of fresh produce. No crazy fads, no extreme detoxes, just balance. He prefers home-cooked meals, often inspired by Portuguese family traditions. Comfort food with a healthy twist, and hydration always. Whether in the studio or on a hike, Perry carries water like it's gold. But the real foundation of his health, yoga and meditation. Regular sessions help him manage stress, maintain flexibility, and clear his mind for songwriting. In an interview, he described yoga as a way to hear your own silence. That's Steve Perry finding melody even in breath. Then there's sleep. Perry prioritizes it like a pro athlete. No late-night chaos, no burned-out mornings. He's big on sleep hygiene, cool rooms, dark spaces, no digital distractions. Why? Because the voice needs rest, the mind needs calm. And Perry, now more than ever, values longevity over adrenaline. He also embraces digital detoxes. During these breaks, he'll retreat to one of his homes, turn off notifications, and disappear into notebooks and melodies. These moments have led to entire albums, like Traces Born from Stillness, Not Pressure. And here's the part that sticks with me. Most Perry isn't trying to be youthful, he's trying to be whole. That means regular checkups, mindfulness, and saying no to chaos. He may not tour like he used to, but his lifestyle keeps his creativity sharp and his health intact. So, what's the real takeaway here? That behind the legendary voice is a man who's chosen intention over intensity. A man who knows that the journey matters as much as the encore. And the journey doesn't end here, because up next, we dive into the biography that shaped this soulful survivor. From dairy farms to diamond records, what happened along the way will surprise you. Childhood and early influences long before the stadiums, the screaming fans, and the platinum records. Steve Perry's story began in a small town in California's Central Valley. Born Stephen Ray Pereira on January 22, 1949 in Hanford, Perry was the son of Portuguese immigrants from the Azores, Raymond and Mary Perry. His father, a vocalist and part owner of local radio station KNGS, gave Steve his first taste of the power of music. But that harmony was short-lived. At just 8 years old, Perry's parents divorced, and he moved with his mother to his grandparents' dairy farm. That farm, nestled in the rhythm of rural life, became his first stage. Amid the mooing of cows and the creak of barn doors, a young Steve would hum and whistle, finding solace in sound. But everything changed the day he heard Sam Cooke's Cupid on the radio. It was a revelation. That voice, smooth and aching with emotion, sparked a fire in him. At just 12, Steve knew he wanted to be a singer. And to this day, he wears a gold eighth note pendant his mother gave him around that time, a talisman of destiny. In high school at Lemoore, Perry played drums in the marching band, sang in the choir, and soaked up every sound he could find. He wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing feeling. That pursuit continued into his college years at the College of the Sequoias, where he studied speech, band, and vocal technique. It wasn't glamorous, but it was foundational. Every note, every class, every struggle was part of the scaffolding for what would soon become one of rock's most recognizable voices. And yet, even with talent in his pocket and dreams in his chest, Perry's path wasn't easy. In the early years, it was filled with false starts, tragedy, and rejection. But what happened next would change rock history forever. The voice behind the legend. Before the world knew him as The Voice, Steve Perry was just another aspiring artist looking for a break. But that break didn't come easy. He formed several bands throughout his 20s, most notably Ice, Pieces, and Alien Project. Ice showed promise, even recording demos at the famed record plant in LA, while Stevie Wonder was working on Talking Book. But without management, The band faded into obscurity. Then came Alien Project. It felt different. The chemistry was right. The music had edge. But just as momentum built, tragedy struck their basis. Richard Michaels died in a car crash. Devastated, Perry nearly walked away from music entirely. He worked construction. He worked on a turkey farm. The dream seemed out of reach. And then, fate intervened. A manager named Herbie Herbert heard a demo tape and was blown away. At the time, Journey, a jazz rock fusion group, was searching for a new sound. Perry was invited to audition. It wasn't just a test, it was a turning point. From the moment he stepped into the room, something clicked. Neil Schon, Journey's guitarist, later said, "We knew we had lightning in a bottle." Perry's voice, soaring, soulful, utterly unmistakable, became the secret ingredient that would launch Journey into rock immortality. His range was operatic, his tone pure gold. And in 2008, Rolling Stone confirmed what fans already knew, ranking him among the 100 greatest singers of all time. John Bon Jovi simply called him the voice. But Perry didn't just sing, he connected. His lyrics bled vulnerability. His delivery invited listeners in. Whether it was the ache of Faithfully or the raw energy of Separate Ways, he didn't just perform songs, he lived them. And soon, the whole world was listening. But Journey's success was only the beginning. Let's rewind to where it all exploded. Journey's rise with Steve Perry. When Perry officially joined Journey in 1970, the band was in flux. Originally formed as a jazz fusion group, Journey needed a new direction, something more melodic, more mainstream. Perry was that direction. His debut with the band on their fourth album, Infinity, was a game changer. With hits like Lights and Wheel in the Sky, the album went triple platinum, signaling a new era. From there, the ascent was rapid. Evolution in 1979 brought Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin', their first top 20 hit. Departure followed in 1980, featuring Any Way You Want It, a concert staple to this day. But it was 1981's Escape that shattered expectations. Co-produced by Kevin Elson and Queen's Mike Stone, Escape was pure lightning certified diamond. It spawned 4 top 20 singles, including the anthem of all anthems, Don't Stop Believin'. That song alone has over 1 billion streams on Spotify and is one of the most downloaded tracks of the digital era. It's appeared in everything from Glee to The Sopranos, and in 2021, the album Escape was officially diamond certified by the RIAA. Journey wasn't just popular, they were legendary. Perry's chemistry with bandmates like Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain was electric. Their follow-up albums, Frontiers and Raised on Radio, kept the momentum going with hits like Faithfully, Separate Ways, and Be Good to Yourself. But fame comes with friction. By 1987, after a grueling tour schedule and mounting personal tensions, Perry walked away. Health issues, including a degenerative hip, added to the weight. Journey paused. Fans were stunned. His solo albums and comebacks. While Journey took a break, Steve Perry stepped out solo, and the results were remarkable. In 1984, he released Street Talk, a sleek, emotionally resonant album that delivered the chart-topping hit, Oh Sherry, a tribute to his then-girlfriend Sherry Swafford. The song hit No. 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, and its video became an MTV staple. Street Talk went double platinum and included other hits like Foolish Heart and She's Mine. It showed the world that Perry didn't need a band to move millions. His voice was more than enough. In 1994, after nearly a decade away, he returned with For the Love of Strange Medicine. The album, featuring guitarist Lincoln Brewster and keyboardist Paul Taylor, blended rock and vulnerability in equal measure. The single You Better Wait reached no. 29 on the Billboard Hot 100 and top charts in Canada. But then, silence. Perry disappeared from the public eye, retreating to focus on his health, his grief over his mother's passing, and a deep desire for privacy. For over 20 years, fans waited. Rumors swirled. Was he done? Then came 2018. Out of nowhere, Steve Perry released Traces, his first full studio album in nearly 25 years. It was raw, it was honest, it was healing. The lead single, No Erasing, reintroduced his voice to a new generation. The album debuted in the Billboard Top 10, proof that legends never fade. And in 2021, he released The Season, a holiday album that captured warmth and nostalgia. But it was the Season 3 in 2024 that truly surprised fans with a touching duet of Call Me Irresponsible, featuring a restored vocal track from his late father. A tribute that blended technology, legacy, and love. His comebacks weren't loud, they were meaningful. And they showed that artistry never expires, it evolves. Notable collaborations and tributes. Even after stepping back from the limelight, Steve Perry never stepped away from music. In 2023, he made a rare appearance on Dolly Parton's rock-inspired album, Rockstar. His cameo vocal wasn't just a guest spot, it was a statement. When legends call, you answer. He's also been a generous collaborator in the name of philanthropy. In 2025, Perry recorded a stirring duet of Faithfully with Willie Nelson to support Farm Aid's 40th anniversary. The performance raised funds for farm families and reminded audiences of Perry's deep roots and big heart. Years earlier, he auctioned off his 1979 Mercedes convertible and a signed tuxedo to raise money for Junior Giants, a youth baseball nonprofit. That gesture wasn't about publicity, it was about giving back to a game that shaped his childhood. And through it all, Perry has spoken openly about grief and healing. He lost his longtime partner, Kelly Nash, to cancer, a tragedy that shaped Traces and much of his recent work. By sharing that pain, Perry gave fans permission to feel their own. He may never tour again. He may never rejoin Journey. But his voice continues to echo, not just in music, but in memory, in meaning, and in moments that matter. And as his legacy continues to grow, so does the curiosity. How much is a voice like that worth in 2025? You'll want to hear this next. Steve Perry's fortune in 2025. What's the real price tag of a timeless voice? In 2025, Steve Perry's net worth is estimated at a staggering $70 million, but this number tells only part of the story. Behind every dollar is a song, a tour, a decision made with purpose and precision. Unlike many of his rock star peers, Perry's wealth wasn't built on constant exposure or flashy endorsements. Instead, it's rooted in consistency, control, and timeless art. Let's break it down. The lion's share of Perry's fortune comes from music sales and royalties. With Journey, Perry helped sell over 80 million albums worldwide, including multi-platinum masterpieces like Escape, Frontiers, and Raised on Radio. His solo catalog, including Street Talk, For the Love of Strange Medicine, Traces, and the holiday album The Season, continues to generate sales and streams, especially with reissues and holiday surges, and the hits they never stopped paying. Songs like Don't Stop Believin', Faithfully, Open Arms, and Oh Sherry have become pop culture fixtures. Don't Stop Believin' alone has racked up over 1 billion Spotify streams, is a staple in film and TV, and remains one of the most downloaded songs of the digital era. The royalty checks are as steady as the beat of a drum. Some reports suggest that Journey's back catalog brings in seven-figure revenue annually from licensing alone. Then there's publishing and licensing. Perry is not just the voice, he's a co-writer. That means every time his classics are played in a commercial, a Netflix series, or a Super Bowl ad, a slice of that income heads his way. And because he's retained ownership of many publishing rights, he benefits more than most artists from his era. But here's the part that separates Perry from the pack: his catalog revenue. Unlike many who sold their music rights for lump sums, Perry continues to earn through long-term agreements. That steady flow of streaming income from Spotify to Apple Music to Sirius XM makes his portfolio not just rich, but resilient. You'd expect a man like Perry to cash in with tours and merch, but he's selective, and that's the secret sauce. Perry limits live performances, choosing quality over quantity, and often opts for high-value licensing over constant public appearances. The result: fewer expenses, more control, and sustained value. His real estate investments also speak to his financial savvy. He owns a $10 million coastal mansion in Del Mar, California, and a $4.9 million property in Larkspur, both strategically located, personally significant, and increasing in value. These homes are more than living spaces, they're emotional landmarks and financial anchors. Let's not forget Perry's vehicles and assets. He owns a diverse garage of 7 vehicles, ranging from classic muscle cars to modern electric models. And while he doesn't own yachts or jets, his travel choices reflect something more: sustainable value and purpose. And yes, Perry gives back. His philanthropic choices, like auctioning off his vintage Mercedes for youth sports, or donating royalties from his duet with Willie Nelson for Farm Aid, reflect a man who sees wealth as a resource, not just a reward. So what does all this mean? Steve Perry didn't just build a fortune. He composed it. With every song choice, every publishing deal, and every step back from the spotlight, he preserved his voice, his brand, and his bottom line. And here's the part they don't teach you in music school. True wealth isn't just about earnings, it's about ownership. Perry's financial success comes from controlling his narrative, protecting his legacy, and valuing his art above all else. In 2025, Steve Perry stands not just as a rock icon, but as a masterclass in longevity and legacy. The voice may have made him famous, but his vision made him rich. And that, perhaps, is the most unforgettable note of all. So what's the takeaway? Steve Perry built a $70 million empire through ownership, control, and pure talent. Want more deep dives into celebrity success stories? Like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us which icon you want to explore next.